New crypto investors who just got through their first severe Bitcoin dip, welcome to the channel that brought both ribbons and origin lines to all of crypto YouTube. We're here on this channel. We do two things. We address your two biggest mistakes that you're making as a new crypto investor. First, you're buying and praying and you don't know when to sell. You're not taking profits, which, if you don't believe me, I've been talking about since February. And the first thing I do is I also teach you how to enter trades safely and know when you do have the statistical probable likelihood of, if I can say probable like I'm not drunk, probable likelihood that you are entering a winning trade. So if that sounds good and you watch this video all the way through to the end on ×2 speed if you're a native English speaker and you happen to like what you see, go ahead and subscribe. But if you do subscribe, you got to let me know whether you want to be a cryptillion or a crypto crackhead. Everybody in this community has a crypto pronoun. They are gender neutral and gender fluid. So cryptillion and crypto crackhead community, are you ready? All right, so grab your watermelon, an aspirin, or Gatorade, whatever you take for a hangover after a big red dildo party, and let's get after it because we're going to talk some really serious stuff that we haven't talked about earlier. So let's jump into it. I will actually take off the ribbons here. Okay. Good news and bad news. Raise your hand if you want to hear the bad news first. Good, because that's what you're getting first. I don't care how many people are voting. This is not a democracy, damn it. It's my channel. Actually, you patrons, when you get loud enough, I do listen to what you say, and hopefully you've been able to see that I am taking action. All right, so bad news first. Actually, we'll go back to the week. Something I've been thinking about over the weekend is I need to challenge my potential perma-bear status that might not be statistically probable. At the time, or still, I still think that it is statistically probable that we're not entering a bull market. However, when you have thoughts, regardless in trading, so, just it doesn't matter if you're trading black market testicles or Bitcoin. Doesn't matter the price of anything, oil, whatever. When you have a fairly strong thought, those are the thoughts that you typically want to try to challenge the most. You don't just want to double down on it and keep doing all that. You always want to challenge, especially the strong ones. Okay? So this the whole month of April, when I was saying we're going to see a big correction, it's coming, it's going to hit 40K, 39.5, all that stuff, I didn't aim low enough when I originally said it, and I was getting laughed at. I had a pretty big... I was dead set on it happening, right? And when the charts told me to flip my probabilities, I did. I was still nimble because I was challenging that thought process. Now, the very next day I flipped my probabilities to a deep correction being the third most probable. Of course, that's when that flash crash of $10,000 or $8,000 in 1 hour happened, obviously, because the market is being very brutal. And so, but it's good to challenge yourself regardless. Even if it didn't work out for me there, it would have been nice to hold steady. However, the point remains. You definitely need to challenge your own thoughts when you think you're stuck on something, especially when it's so macro related, as in not bull or bull or bear. All right. So I've been challenging my thought process throughout the weekend, and this is my thought. Miners in the past, so Bitcoin miners, who were getting, 12.5 Bitcoin every 12 minutes roughly throughout 4 years. Prior to that, 25 Bitcoin, they essentially hoarded as much Bitcoin as they could to sell around December specifically. And they essentially helped lead, or they exacerbated the dips or the beginning of the bear markets, right? Because they were essentially only selling enough Bitcoin on market to cover costs, with specific anticipation on selling near the end of the cycle. And then folks, retail investors who take profits, they get out across countries, even China, for tax-related purposes before China was doing weird crap with Bitcoin, right? So a couple of things compounded and together essentially created the 4-year cycles. So it wasn't necessarily because of the halvening, it was more because of miners taking profit in a strategic manner. Right? And mixed with taxes. So if that is my thought process on why the 4-year cycles have become and have existed so long. However, what I've been thinking about is, wait, if that ends up changing one day, which it probably will, what would cause that to change? And two, what would that look like, and how would you spot that before it was obvious, which is what my channel likes to do. Spot things before they're obvious. And I've had a fairly good track record doing that, besides Ethereum skyrocketing before this crash, and then I thought the correction was already over. But other than that, I've typically been pretty intuitive. You know, I try to be, right? And I think the track record of this channel has done pretty well in that regard. So that's been what I've been obsessing about. Not even looking into the charts, but trying to read overall market psychology. What would all those things, how would those things take form? And what I've been thinking of is that if that were to happen, what that would mean is institutions now have more Bitcoin than miners. And if miners try taking profits around that time or whatever, that the buy pressure would essentially overpower them, and perhaps in a good way, or the sell pressure, because this has pretty much been confirmed as fabrication, like a fabricated price movement, right? This is orchestrated. So I'm not going to say the word manipulation, because if you've ever hit market buy, you manipulated the market too. But this was an orchestrated price structure and event, right? So it's orchestrated. So with that, though, the market sell pressure can also overcome the natural and organic retail buy pressure, which is what we just saw, more so than the natural buy and sell pressures of 2017, creating like on average 35% dips. However, that is our first clue. If institutions have enough Bitcoin, they can literally orchestrate an exact pattern and an exact dip. The 4-year cycles might be done. I think that literally, so I was sincerely asking myself that question. What would cause the 4-year cycles to end? Institutions having enough Bitcoin to overcome what created the 4-year cycles prior and the natural organic buy pressure of retail investors. I think that's been proven to be confirmed. Check. So first off, the 4-year cycles might be toast. We don't have any statistical data to say that, but I genuinely answered that question to myself, and that's what we just saw. So then I asked the question, well, shit, what does that mean for Bitcoin, right? I want your stuff to go to the moon. I want 100xers, man. Whoa, you know, that's why we're here, to get rich, bitch. All right, so, sorry, I won't curse anymore this whole video. I think I promised that. I usually don't curse very much. Sorry. But anyway, so I took a step back from the charts and using my origin lines as guidance. Even though it looks, did I delete? I think I accidentally removed one. I think one's gone. Yep, I accidentally deleted one somehow. There. All right, sorry, doing this on the fly. Okay, I think that's where it was. Okay, so it would potentially look more like this. Kind of ignore this, ignore that, because those are done. Now, what happened with Bitcoin price is it recently went from the bottom line up to the third line, back down to the bottom line, dipping below. So it skipped 2, 1, 2, went below the second one. Okay, went up to the fourth line, went past 2, dipped below it, perhaps go to the fifth line around 135, skip 2, come back down to, let's say, 80, go up to the last line, do it again, and do it again. It might just start going in waves. Starting with this one. That might have been the first of several waves. So a stair-steppy fashion. So it might turn into a squirrel. New viewers, inside joke. I like to essentially relate multiple assets that move almost identically. Even sometimes on a 2-hour versus a weekly time frame, they look exactly the same. Like Dash and Litecoin look almost exactly the same because they're monetary coins. A lot of coins move identically. Tone and Cardano have printed exact same shapes, broke out the same exact way, almost at the same exact time. Stuff like that. But so squirrels are the stair-steppy, almost like VeChain's been doing before it clearly crashed along 70+% along with most of altcoins. But that might be what happens. Because right now, that's the trend. I mean, it's first right up. You know, it didn't go up to this line like that. It went up to the first one. So we might be heading in waves. And if that were to happen, I would fully suspect that the play between waves might actually be shortened each time. So 330 days is halfway. So 700 days to 500 days. No, let's do top to bottom was 3. So maybe 200 days to the bottom. So potentially the bottom around October. Which means this is too close. Like these waves happen too fast. Like consolidation till October. Maybe not bottom, but gets confident again till October. Make sure that's about 300 and something days. Or about, that's about right. Okay, and then the next one. Let's give it 160 days, so maybe to there. Something like that. That could be what happens, folks. Now, what does that mean for altcoins? I don't know. I bet it would be good for altcoins because I think the market would officially separate itself from Bitcoin. And, you know, things wouldn't just move identically to Bitcoin anymore. And I actually had a question in the Patreon community. Why does everything move exactly? Like, if Bitcoin takes, everything takes. Why is that? Well, first off, that's a great question. And you're right. If you're just not noticing that, I mean, you should have noticed that a while ago when everything's up, right? Just because it was convenient that it was up, you should have been asking the question, right? But yes, of course, some questions happen when red things happen. You get a fresher view on things. So part of the reason why is a lot of assets trade only or half against Bitcoin, the pairing, right? Not everything you trade for Tether or the dollar. Even things like in America on Coinbase, things trade versus the dollar, but the vast majority of trading volume, I assume, is not versus the dollar on Coinbase alone. And stuff like KuCoin or Binance, I would assume most of the trading volume is not on a fiat pairing. So you don't buy, most Bitcoin is not purchased with the British pound, right? I would assume it might be through Tether, right? Because Tether is actually the most popular and it's the highest volume cryptocurrency in the world. There's more Tether trading than any other cryptocurrency, way more than Bitcoin. So Bitcoin can separate from the market if things move more to trading versus Tether, and the BTC pairings, because Bitcoin stops moving so cyclically in a 4-year cycle, it's possible that if people's trading styles migrate towards the US dollar pairing or non-Bitcoin pairings, then when Bitcoin drops, what would happen is, since it trades so heavily versus that pairing, if Bitcoin drops, and that asset is trading equally, like it's a doji candle, doesn't go up, doesn't go down, right? If that is true, then the price of it is actually dropping pretty heavily. So if trading naturally can migrate away from so much Bitcoin pairing trading, for whatever reason, that would facilitate not everything moving directly with Bitcoin. That would facilitate it. So will things just snap out of their Bitcoin pairing, following or paths they follow? Probably not. However, if 4-year cycles are broken, that might be one of the initiators or the threshold to need to cross for that to happen. For people to say, let's not program our bots to dump our altcoins when Bitcoin's dumping, which is the second part of it. So the second part of that question is things trade versus Bitcoin, but also bots are programmed to trade alts and dump alts at the first sign of a dump of Bitcoin. So I don't know if this is accurate, but I think more than half the trading volume of cryptocurrency in the world are bots. Pretty sure that's a true statement. Somebody in the comment section, if you know the facts behind that, you can let us know and I'll pin it to the top. Because I honestly have a guess that that's true. That's partly why everything moves together. Because bots are trained to dump the alts that they're holding when there's divergences or a percentage decrease on Bitcoin. They'll dump everything else in that portfolio, market sell. And that's the second half of the answer to the question, why does everything move almost identically, to Bitcoin, at least in terms of a drop? Bitcoin pairings of bots. So, that was that question. But this is the bad news. The general thought behind what would cause 4-year cycles to end, I think that has actually happened. Now, does that mean it's going to happen? No. But I organically thought of that when the institutions have X amount of Bitcoin to, what I said earlier. We will see that in the charts, and that would be how 4-year cycles have ended before they've ended. And then this crap. And then I realized, wait, that Wyckoff pattern is an orchestrated event. That's what it means. So check mark, done. So this would be one indication to know before you actually know. Okay? Altcoin pairings. What would that mean for the altcoin market cap? That would potentially simply mean that this would move in waves with Bitcoin. Instead of market tops, it'll move like a squirrel. Actually like this. Or it would mean it'll separate. Or it'll mean that it'll move with Bitcoin for a short while. And then something like Ethereum one of these times says, I'm not going down, leads the altcoin, and maybe Ethereum becomes the altcoin leader while Bitcoin does its own damn thing. So, if that were to be the case, and Ethereum became the altcoin market leader, you would think that Ethereum would be behaving quite differently than Bitcoin, right? So what would be your first signals? Well, how it's reacting to the weekly 21. So let's take a look. Bitcoin versus the weekly 21. Let's leave the 10 on there too. Closed at it. Opened, tanked below it, closed below it. This candle well below the 21. Not even in sight. 14% away. Okay, now let's look at how Ethereum reacted to it. Huh. Never closed below it. It only wicked below it. Which candles are among the most important in all of trading? The weekly. So if the weekly are more important than the 1 hour, the 12 hour, the 4 hour, meaning this is more important than all of this, here comes the good news. That means we ain't entering a bear market. At least for alts. And if this Wyckoff pattern, essentially being confirmed as an orchestrated event, which I believe you can say beyond a reasonable doubt at this point, this might literally be the beginning of the separation of Bitcoin from altcoins. You got the first clue, institutions can orchestrate price. Second, Ethereum would probably lead the altcoin market, and it's behaving completely differently than Bitcoin. Yeah, it fell with it, sure, but its behavior is totally different. So it's completely possible that Bitcoin does one of these, like I was saying earlier, while Ethereum, since it doesn't have the same halving schedule as Bitcoin, and is actually its tokenomics have changed slightly to be more deflationary than it was. I'm not a fundamentalist. I don't read into projects. I don't have an advanced level knowledge of Ethereum and all the workings of it. But it's possible that even in that case, if Ethereum were to lead alts, that the Fourier cycles are also over. It would just follow whatever the hell is going to happen with Ethereum. And if the Fourier cycle ends and all of the mania bubbly stuff ends, then that means perhaps, and so thinking further, what would be the ramifications of this? That means that it's possible Ethereum begins climbing at a healthy rate and doesn't have to have these nasty scares. And the market of crypto might end up turning into traditional markets, which in general terms are just straight up the whole time, or just up and sideways forever, with a dip here and a dip there. So the crypto market, I mean, this could be the first signs of it, maturing into an asset that doesn't have these Fourier cycles that convinces investors to come in huge monstrous waves, causes bubbly action, toppy stuff, to cause, things like Pirate Chain to go to 2 billion market cap when it was at 5 million and stuff like that. That's very toppy behavior of investors, waves of investors coming in, while those investors were saying it's still low, right? Woo. No diss on Pirate Chain. I actually, privacy coins are probably my favorite type of crypto. So I'm definitely not, I'm more talking about the investors of it in terms of being in a mania, because that was a freaking mania. What happened with Pirate Chain, or even Harmony One, and, Omi's wasn't that bad. That was just moderately big. But Theta Fuel went way too high, way too fast. Or Theta, that was stupid. Even B-Pros, I mean, that was a 6,000% run. That was silly, right? That's all mania level stuff. I mean, you can't go up like that forever. It's unhealthy. So it's possible that, what institutions have done in terms of orchestrating price, it might actually end up being a favor to people not coming in at the top of mania when YouTubers talk about something after it goes 3,000% because they have no clue what they're doing. Neither does the YouTube talking about it. And then crap drops 70% and you have more screwed investors. It could actually end up being a favor to people in the long run. Now, people like me who could potentially with this bull run retire at the end, okay, you're going to take that away from me for maybe another few years, but that's fine. But long-term wise, that could be what ends up happening. Market-wise. So this is my market video, nothing specific about altcoins right now, if you can't tell. All right. So let me see what minute. Sorry, minute 24. Okay, so now I'm going to start talking more specific good news. Ethereum has been leading the market, and the market leader did stay above, did not close a single weekly candle below the weekly 21, and that is essentially the rough definer point of bull market, bear market. So there is no question about the market leader, whether we are in a bull market or not. There is no question. This is confirmed as being in a bull market still. It has not closed a single damn candle. Sorry, one more. I said I'd maybe promise. Hasn't closed a single darn candle under the 21. You cannot put bull market into question still, logically or reasonably, for Ethereum, which pretty much everyone is thinking it's the market leader, which, because it's proved itself to be so far. Although Bitcoin sure led the market down, but Ethereum looks like it's going to lead it back up. You can't put in question this. This still is confirmed bull market with zero justification that it's not. Bitcoin, on the other hand, it is in question. If Bitcoin cannot start closing candles above this, 21 rather soon, like that essentially is what helps define bull markets, is closing confidently above the weekly 21 in general terms. Can you have a couple that go below it in a bull market? Sure. But that's part of one of the main definitions of a bull market, is one very generally accepted way to define it. So Bitcoin's bull market status is actually and factually and correctly in question. It is in question. Can be confirmed that this is a bear market? No. But you can't confirm either we're still in a bull market for Bitcoin, at least. For Ethereum, the exact opposite. You cannot quite put in question its bull market status. It cannot technically be done yet. You can't logically question it. It's maintaining the base idea behind a bull market, and it proved it, and it's bouncing off of it with some aggression here. It's not just saying don't question me, biatches, but it's saying don't question me. I'm closing this candle here. See you later. It's proving it. It's not just saying don't question me. It's saying, ha, told you. Wiping off its shoulder. So Bitcoin and Ethereum status right now are, honestly, they're polar opposite. I don't know what to think of that. I will keep thinking about the market, general market psychology behind that throughout the upcoming weeks. Keep updating us, have more thoughts, but just note that it is completely different status. They have a completely different status, and if the markets were to ever separate, we are seeing clear, the most obvious signs you would see in retrospect that were the first signs that could have led you to know something before you're supposed to know it, that Bitcoin and altcoins won't trade versus Bitcoin perfectly anymore. Orchestrated event. Miners and retail investors aren't in control of Bitcoin price anymore. Ethereum and Bitcoin behaving totally differently. We're seeing both of them. Now, let's go to Bitcoin specifically. So Ethereum's safe. Ethereum's looking good. Bitcoin. Its status is in question. Officially in question. This is why I was really challenging myself. Am I really that sure that it's my third most probable that we're in a bear market? Over other two most probable scenarios? And I don't know if I should say it at this point. I don't know if I'm tricking myself and I want to relate it to 2013 or use my origin line, say it doesn't make sense to, be here. Did I move another origin? Damn it, I did. Frick. I'm messing up my lines. Oh, that's where my line went. I moved it. There we go. Don't know how I did that. Meow. Yeah, I play with charts a lot, so sometimes I move stuff. Anyway, I honestly don't know if I'm simply tricking myself. Now, there is a reason I mentioned earlier in this video that right when I flipped my probabilities, when I was actually right the whole time, but then I convinced myself I wasn't right, that's when the market did what I thought it was going to do all along. So interesting. So here's the real hope. I've been waiting for this till the end. So I've been very strongly believing this is not the bear market. This is not the bear market. This was simply more like 2013. And now I want to remove or flip my probabilities or erase them and don't know. This could be the exact moment that the market now does exactly what I've been thinking. This is not the bear market. It's going to zoom right back up to its weekly 10 at the start of a new candle. And this could be the market simply being brutal, making everybody believe it's a bear market, and then zoom, let's jump, like let's fly past 60K, move back up to, 78K. This could be what's happening, right? If the pattern continues, because the last couple times I got convinced it wasn't going to happen, even though I was thinking, or actually the last time, I didn't know the second drop was going to happen. I didn't see that coming. I was not a Wyckoff person. And why wasn't I a Wyckoff person? Because I've been in this crypto space long enough where every bull run, there's always like a group of YouTubers who say, "Oh, this is a warning sign," and it never happens. And after hearing it like 20 times, the Wyckoff thing was just, yeah, whatever. We've heard this a million times, right? And in a conversation I had with a scheduled call earlier today with one of my patrons, I noted that if you've been in the space long enough, you would know that a bunch of YouTubers thought this was Bitcoin's top, a bunch of people thought this was the beginning of the bear market, and a bunch of people thought this was the beginning of the bear market. Tons of YouTubers, groups, swear, this is the end, this is the end. So when we get our first correction, what's happening? Exactly what happened in 2017, 3 different times. This is the end, that was it, party's over. So that's also some good news. This happens every single time that there's a first dip in a bull run. However, factually though, coming back to reality, so I've gone through full bearish, full bullish, trying to blend some stuff here, is reality. Reality is that Bitcoin's bull market status is in question factually. It is below its weekly 21, and it closed a candle below the weekly 21, and it's still way down there. So what can we look out for to try to determine when this is or is not in question anymore, one way or another? Essentially, it's going to be Bitcoin's price reaction to both the weekly 10 and the weekly 21. If Bitcoin can, at some way, shape, or form, doesn't matter how, doesn't matter if it goes past both, comes down and goes below, then consolidates and goes sideways, that's one way it could happen. Okay, let me make price, what color should price be? Let's make it green. That's one way it could happen. Or price could simply peek its head up here and then ride and then take off. That's another one. Or price could come softly up to it and then ride the 21, consolidate under the 10, and then go up. And I think 2013 actually did that last one. So 2013 is actually a really good example here of it consolidating. I think it was just under the 10. But either way, consolidating around the 10 and above the 21 is not that bad. Like, it's actually good. That's very healthy. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this is 2013. So after its crash, it came up, started closing above the 21 and right at, but not necessarily above the 10. And remember the rule for altcoins that I have on this channel? I want 3 opens and closes above the 10 or around the 10, right? Confidence around the 10, right? 1, 2, 3, then up. Even Bitcoin follows that rule. So if you can see Bitcoin being, so this isn't on the hourly basis. Shit can, price can go up and down thousands of dollars within a week, but you're looking at the candle closes. If candles can close with confidence, like a stable posture. The camera angle's kind of weird today. Sorry. Can you see me okay? But this is how we can determine or put more probabilities behind Bitcoin's question mark status, is how it reacts, especially to the weekly 10. But if it can't get above the weekly 21, then you're going to know right away, yeah, the party was over for Bitcoin. It probably is not going to get that confident. But I think it's going to rely on the 10. I think Bitcoin most likely will get above the 21, and its reaction to the 10 is what's going to be key. Now, honestly, if I had to make a guess, I think one of the least healthy ways for Bitcoin to get back into business is to fly past it. Because that's That's going a little too hot. Then it's going to overcorrect, and that could scare more people into selling, and it could make a lower low. I would rather see it poke its head, actually kind of like it did here. See that wick? I'd rather see it just poke its head, or not even break it. Just be right under it, and just close candles above the 21, and just wherever it is near the 10, it's cool as long as you're closing solid candles right there. Not much volatility. You want volatility to go bye-bye. You want stability. And flying past is not stability. It looks strong, but it's not stability. You want stability around here. But could it fly past then get stable? Sure. But if it does that, that's a good chance of it making a higher low way down here, and then it takes longer. So these are the things that I'm looking for in terms of what is Bitcoin's status of bull market or bear market. And then after we can determine that status, then we can wax philosophically with more actual intelligence that I'm doing now, with the idea that Ethereum and altcoins might be separating from Bitcoin. Because we really need to determine Bitcoin status before we can even, just even think about that too much, right? So yeah, I mean, because without that, I don't know, past philosophers, they would ask themselves philosophically, how many angels would fit on the point of a pen? I'm serious, that was an actual, or maybe it might have been souls or something. But, you're just thinking about that kind of stuff without first getting more confirmation behind Bitcoin status in specific regard to the status of the altcoin market versus Bitcoin. So we need to see what Bitcoin's doing first, and then we can think of what this means for altcoins. Now, last thing here is the altcoin market. This is full circle. Ethereum did not close candles below the 21, and neither did the altcoin market. I don't know, there's a lot of evidence stacking up that this was the first sign that stuff's going to separate from Bitcoin, perhaps in a healthy way. Look at that. It stuck the landing exactly like Ethereum. Exactly as I did not predict. That's good. That's a good reaction, folks. That's good for altcoins right there. That's solid. Is this scary as hell? Absolutely. But this is a good sign. So, I purposely wanted to leave you with this. So, what this means, I might not be explaining myself. This is essentially the market cap of everything minus Bitcoin. Okay? So, if the market cap can stick its landing and move up, then altcoins are going to be pretty damn safe. And if the chart can do this, honestly, it doesn't matter what Bitcoin does as long as it can stay above the 21 and prove its confidence. Then altcoins will remain strong even if Bitcoin consolidates around 35K. I don't think it'll matter. However, you will see it in the charts. And what could be happening, is that it's proving itself above the 21 now, and it's going to spend 3 weeks before it takes off or before it heads back down, but we'll see. But regardless, this is very good. This is the market cap of everything minus Bitcoin. So, y'all just got Timified new viewers. If you liked what you saw, I typically cover altcoins when it's not this bloody. There's really no reason to cover altcoins right now. Everything's going to depend on Bitcoin status. So I'll probably start covering altcoins again when we know with more certainty. When I see 3 candle closings around the 10, I'll start covering altcoins again, because then we're going to have a lot of breakouts probably, or start having breakouts. Perhaps even a little bit before Bitcoin gets confident above 60. There will be some breakouts by then. But anyway, I usually cover altcoins in a second video, but I won't do that until Bitcoin status is more confirmed. So if you subscribed and you liked what you saw, let me know in the comment section whether you want to be a cryptillion or a crypto crackhead. And y'all just got Timified.